Hi everyone, and welcome to another class here at Linguistiko. I'm Stephanie, and I will be your teacher for the hour. This class is called Homographs, okay? And so we are going to learn basically what homographs are, and that's it. That's the class. No, we're going to learn about them, and it's helpful because homographs are confusing. Okay, homophones are similar to homographs, but it's not exactly the same thing. So it has to do with words sounding the same, meaning different things, being spelled the same way, etc. Okay, so it's actually pretty basic, but it gets confusing when you have to read a sentence that has two words in it that are spelled the exact same way, but mean something different. So anyhow, yeah, that's what a homograph is. So yeah, we're going to learn about that. We're going to go through some examples. We're going to have some fun looking at this. And then when it's all over, we're just going to, if we end class early, then we're just going to talk and have a conversation. And yeah, so that's the plan for today. Pretty simple, really. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard about homophones. But not so many people have heard of homographs. So really quickly, homophones are words that sound the same when you hear them with your ears, but perhaps they are spelled differently or they have different meanings. So for example, the word bear, like I see a big bear, versus I can't bear it, like I can't stand it, okay? So bear and bear sounds the same, but has different meanings. With homographs, what's going to happen is you're going to see two words that are spelled exactly the same, but they are pronounced differently. Okay, and this just gets really confusing because the way you pronounce the word is based on where you put it in the sentence or where you find it in the sentence. So maybe if it's the noun version, it's pronounced one way, or if it's the verb version, it's pronounced another way. And you're only going to know which way to pronounce it by knowing if it's the noun or the verb, or, you know, a lot of times we just hear it enough, you have it incorporated into your mind, and you're able to understand it that way. Okay, so let me give you some examples. I have lots of examples. Okay, so a garden will produce produce. Okay, so when I say that, a garden will produce produce, you think, oh, Stephanie, that's easy because it sounds, there's no two words that are the same in that sentence, but really there are. Produce and produce are spelled exactly the same way, okay, but they have a different accent. So listen to one, produce and then produce. Okay, so where does the accent fall? You have two sides to this word, okay? So produce, okay, that's the verb, and then produce, that's the noun. So one has the accent on the back end, the other one has the accent on the front end, but they are spelled exactly the same. And when you hear the sentence, it doesn't sound that weird, but when you read it, it's very tricky, okay? So that's the first example. The second example is, after a number of injections, my jaw got number. Now you hear that and you think, Steph, come on, that sounds different. What two words are the same? However, after a number of injections, my jaw got number. Those two words are spelled exactly the same in English. The thing is, you have in the word numb, you have a silent B, okay? So if you want to say number, okay, there's still a B in that word, and it looks just like number, 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 okay? So if you weren't aware of this, it might get kind of tricky. Anyhow, and this lesson is just kind of fun. I like learning about homographs myself and finding new ones. And you know how a lot of times on in the email, in your email, you'll get lots of email forwards. People say, oh, this was, I don't know, the most incredible events of 2014, or the best singers of 2000, or whatever. You just get these random emails that give you all kinds of random information. Well, a random email that circulates in inboxes of people that speak English is this one about homographs. I don't remember if they say, oh, this is called homographs, but basically it's an email, like a chain, I guess you could say, that says, okay, like look at the following sentences and read them. And you read them and you're like, whoa, this is incredible. Produce, 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 number, number. But as you're reading it, it's all the same. Okay, so I'll share my screen a little bit later and I'll actually show you guys what these look like. But for now, I'm going to just read a couple more. So he was present to present the present. Okay, that's a crazy homograph. He was present to present the present. 3 words that are spelled the same that have different uses. Complicated, right? Okay, so he was present, he was there to present, to give the present, the gift. Crazy. I'm like, when I look at this kind of stuff, I actually feel a little bit bad for the people who are learning English because I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's hard. But at least it's kind of fun. So yeah, that's one. That's another one. I did not object to the object. That's another one. I did not object to the object. They both look like object or object, whichever way you want to look at it. The word is spelled the same, but it's pronounced differently. So I'm so curious now. Like, I think, well, I obviously learned how to talk before I learned how to read and write, etc. So I wonder, the people, the students here at Linguistiko, I wonder were them to learn homographs or what it has been like, okay? Because I'm sure they've learned some, and then there are still some left to be learned, of course. I wonder what it was like for them. You know, when I did this class last time, because this is the second time that I've done this class, I think my student said, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, you know, because you're not used to seeing these words in the same sentences. Normally you see number, like that number is very big. And then the word number, like my jaw is getting number and number because of the anesthesia. I'm saying that wrong, because of the medicine. Sorry, I'm tired. So anyhow, you know, if you're not used to ever seeing these words in the same sentence, maybe you don't even realize that you know a lot of homographs. But by putting them in the same sentence, that's when you realize it. And the same thing happens to native English speakers. That's why this chain email that we get is so funny. It's trippy, we say. We say it's trippy. Something is trippy when it's like, whoa, kind of hard to believe. Yeah. Okay, next. I had to subject the subject to questioning. I had to subject the subject to questioning. Again, subject and subject are spelled exactly the same way, but they are pronounced differently. And a lot of times the difference is simple. It's just a different emphasis. So on one, you have the emphasis on the front of the word, and on the other end, and on the other word, you have the emphasis at the back. Subject, subject, etc. Oh, this one I like. I wound the bandage around the wound. I wound, okay? Wound is past tense of wind. To wind something is like to do this or to wrap it around. So if you have a bandage, let's say I have a wound right here. Having a wound means you're hurt. I have a wound right here. I take a bandage and I wind the bandage around my wound. If I did that in the past, I would say I wound the bandage around my wound, okay? But wound and wound are spelled exactly the same way. Woo, big surprise. No, because this class is about homographs, and that's what they are. And I warned you at the beginning. All right. Okay, here's one. Ice cream is a great dessert in the desert if you desert your diet. Ice cream is a great dessert in the desert if you desert your diet. Okay, so is a great dessert. This one is spelled with 2 S's. And then in the desert, if you desert, those are the 2 homographs. A desert is a very dry place, and to desert something is to leave something behind. Then here's another one. Please don't read me the signs. I've already read them myself. So read and read. I'm sure you're familiar with this one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the English language has to be so difficult. Really, I don't know why. Like, I don't know enough about language history to know why we have to spell like this. Oh well. Read and read, spelled the same way. And then read, like I read a book, and red, the color red, they sound the same, but they're spelled differently. Go figure. I know. I know. Who does these things? Okay, next. Someone had tied a large red bow on the ship's bow. That's one. Next. The buck does funny things when the does are present. Okay, does and does. Do you know what a does? Do you know what does are? Does are female deer. Okay, so but the word does is spelled exactly like does. Like, what does he do? What does no? What do the does do? Yeah, that's too complicated. Okay. Next. Some of these, I have to be honest, are words that I don't even know, so I'm going to skip them. Okay, the dove dove out of sight. This is a good one. The dove dove out of sight. Those 2 words, dove and dove, they're spelled exactly the same way. But one is a little birdie, and the other one is this. Whoosh, diving. Oh, I always pull this off of my ear. Okay. Again, another one. The dump was so full that it had to refuse more refuse. Refuse and refuse are spelled exactly the same way. But one is to refuse, to say no, and refuse is waste. Okay, so they said, hey, we're really full here, no more waste. We refuse your refuse. Okay. The insurance. Okay, the insurance was invalid because the invalid had no symptoms. Invalid, invalid, same thing, same spelling. The wind was too strong to wind the sail. Okay, so wind and wind, spelled exactly the same way. Wind, like the wind, the air, the wind, and to wind. We already did wind. We did it with wound earlier. So as you can see, interesting topic. And that's what this class is about. It's just about presenting homographs, letting you guys know, hey, this exists. Don't be surprised if you ever see this in a sentence. And then practicing the most common ones. Okay? So I'll keep going. I'll share a little bit more. I like this one. We must polish the Polish furniture. Polish and Polish are spelled exactly the same way. There was a big mouth bass painted on the bass drum. So a bass is a type of fish, and then a bass drum is the drum that has like the most low sound. Jeannie moped in brooding silence after her new moped was stolen from her garage. So moped and moped are also spelled exactly the same way. So crazy. It would incense your mother to discover that you're... Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to read that last one because some of these words aren't even words that I use. That's when it gets kind of crazy. They were too close to the door to close it. Too close to close it. That's crazy. Okay. Upon seeing the tear in the painting, I shed a tear. Tear and tear are spelled exactly the same way. Okay, and then there's another website that I have a list of common homographs. Okay, and in this list of common homographs, we have accent and, well, accent and accent. To accent something or an accent. Then you have agape and agape, attribute and attribute, axes and axes, bass, bass, bat, bat, bow, bow, compact, compact, compound, compound, content, content, contract, contract, desert, desert, digest, digest, discount, discount, doze, down, down, entrance, entrance, evening, evening, fine, fine, frequent, frequent. Okay, so I'm reading these words, okay? I'm reading basically some different homographs. What I didn't do was give you the definition of each one. So now I'll go back to the top and I'll explain a little bit about what each one of these are, okay, that I've been reading. So some of these we went over already, but I'll do the ones that we didn't go over in the previous part of the lesson. Agape means to be open wide. Agape is a Greek word meaning love that is sometimes used in the English language. An attribute is a characteristic or quality, and attribute is to think of as belong. No, I don't like their definition. To attribute. To think of as belonging to or originating in some person, place, or thing. I guess that's okay. Axes is the plural of axe, and axes is the plural of axis. A bat is a piece of sporting equipment that you hit a ball with, like baseball. And then a bat could also be a winged animal associated with vampires. Compact is something small. And then a compact is something, it's like a small case for holding makeup. That's interesting. And compact itself can either be an adjective. You can say that is a compact car, or it could be a verb. You say we need to compact this more. Compact this more. Wow, crazy. Content is happy or satisfied, like he's very content with his new job. And then content is all that is contained inside something, like the content of a website. A contract is an agreement, but to contract something is to get or acquire or incur, like contract a disease or contract a sickness. Then we had digest. This is the process that happens when you first start eating food. It starts to digest in your mouth, digestive system, okay, digest. But then a digest, wait, digesting, condensed version. Yeah, digest could also be a condensed version of some information. Then we have down. Down is in a lower position, but down is also a word for soft, furry feathers. So when a baby bird is born, they have a lot of down on their bodies. It's the first feathers that little baby birds have. They don't have hard feathers that are like unbendable, or I guess you could say, yeah. They have down. They have just those soft, fluffy feathers. And some jackets are called down jackets, and I guess they're made with those soft, furry feathers. And I never really thought about how they got them, and now I'm thinking that's pretty sad. But anyways, let's carry on. Okay. So an entrance is the place where you go in, or a place of entry, a building or something. And then to entrance is to bewitch, delight, or enrapture. Evening is late afternoon, but evening is to make more even. Like we are evening the, I don't know. We are evening something that you need to make more even. Sorry, it's been a long day. Okay. Then we have fine. This is like, oh, how are you? I'm fine. So very good. But it could also mean a lot of other things too. It could mean sharp or keen, like this is a very fine knife. It's a very sharp knife. It's a very thin knife. You could say something is very fine, like this cloth is very fine. That means it's very delicate or subtle. Or you could get charged a fine, and so that is a sum of money paid to settle a matter. Interesting. Okay, next. Frequent means occurring regularly, but to frequent a place means to visit a place with regularity. And I feel like as the English language evolves, we are going to get more and more and more of these homographs, because we are constantly inventing new words. I don't know if you've noticed this, but for example, Google. Google is a search engine, okay? But we say just Google it. To Google something, that's now a verb, okay? Google and Google. So you have Google, and then you can Google something, okay? Or YouTube it. For example, I'm using these examples with technology because since technology is what's changing so rapidly, it's forcing language to evolve. Have you thought about that? That is so interesting that because of the things that we're inventing, we are having to now invent new language. I find that fascinating. I really do, quite honestly. Okay, let's carry on. I like this one. Minute is 60 seconds, or 1/60th of an hour. And then minute is extremely small. Of course, both spelled the same. Hi, Ming. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie.
How are you
Good.
today? Oh, good.
Not so good, but okay.
Yeah. Well, me either. I'm like tireder than I've ever been in like a year, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a long day, but it wasn't a bad day. So, I can't complain. It was an interesting day. I was with my friend. She has a store, a clothing store, and it's a small one. And so it's kind of like a boutique. So I was there all day, but then I came back to do a lesson in the afternoon, and then I went back, and I didn't realize it, but I was standing all day. So it's not like I ran a marathon. I was just standing. I was just like hanging out, and I got so tired because of that. Oh, and the other thing too, I went to bed late, got up kind of early, so yeah. And I'm used to like having a really chill routine, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, me, I just like at work, people are always gossiping and stuff.
Mhm.
But, like they always gossip to me, not like
Oh, I hate being in that situation.
yeah. So like, yeah, that's true. She's she's such a you know what? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't like being in that situation. It's really complicated because if you don't agree with them, it's like, what do you say? And if you do agree with them, you don't want to say it, you know? Oh,
Yeah. But
yeah.
I think that's a thing with people. They just like to gossip a lot,
Yeah.
and I don't gossip. I know I do gossip, but
It has to be with the
I
right
think
people.
yeah,
Not
I
your
got
coworkers.
I gossip out of curiosity, not to like to
Yeah.
hurt people or anything. So
Yeah.
I know, but it's mentally draining to just hear people complain all the time. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, I used to work in an office and I was an orthodontist assistant. It was a pretty small office because we had the orthodontist. I was like the main assistant back in the day. And then there was the office manager and then the secretary. We were just a small group. And the secretary and the manager didn't like each other. And they would both gossip to me. And I was so young, Ming. I was just young and naive and I didn't know what to do. And if it were me now, I would say like, "Hey, why are you telling me this?" Or, "Look, I really can't help you," or, "Sorry, I don't feel comfortable hearing this." But I didn't know what to do. So I was always in such an uncomfortable position. Or when the three of us were together, one would say something to me and then the other one would like roll their eyes and I'm just like, "I don't agree with either of you. I think this is silly." Um, so yeah, you're right. It is mentally draining. And then um, I think maybe gossiping is something that we kind of just learn to do from other people. So we just kind of do it without realizing it until we realize what gossiping is and that it's not good. And then it's like a conscious decision to not do it. Because I remember when I used to gossip more and I realized, hey, this is really stupid. And I had to
yeah,
consciously just decide not to and say, you know what, I'm not going to be that girl. And
yeah,
it was hard at first, because it's like you want to say something or, oh, did you hear about this person or what do you know about that person? And you just had to learn to let it go, or I did. But now I think I'm a lot happier for that. So I'm glad that I made that decision.
hmm. I think for me is I try to be positive, and when you gossip, you always talk about like the negative things of people.
Yeah. Mhm.
But and I agree with them like 100% too. So it just wow, make me realize how terrible everyone is.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
I know it really brings us down. It really brings you down. And I think the thing you just have to remember is that not everyone's like that. I'm not like that. You're not like that. There are people that aren't like that. It's just we're the quiet ones, because we don't gossip. So you don't hear us gossip. And the ones that do gossip, they're the loud ones. So it feels like, oh, everybody gossips. But fortunately, there's a small minority that doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you've had a draining day. I did too, but I didn't have to go through that.
But the rest, but I had sushi today, so that was good. Yeah.
You heard me say I was gonna have sushi the other day, didn't you? And you were like, "Oh, I want sushi."
No, and I got free coffee from one of the people. He's attorney, so he used to love it,
Nice.
and he bought me free coffee.
Oh, we can never complain when it's free. When something's free, it's just like you can't even say, "Oh, I don't like this." You just have to say thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
that day that I did have sushi, I didn't like it as much. And normally if I have sushi like I had a 2 week break, okay? Normally when I have a 2 week break from sushi, all is good. But like I told you, the sushi here isn't that good to begin with. So when you go 6 months without having sushi and then you have the sushi from here, it's like, yum, because you went 6 months without it. But then 2 weeks later, when you have it again, you're like, wait, what? What is this? It tasted like the rice had a lot of like vinegar flavor in it. I didn't like it very much.
Yeah.
I hope your sushi
And,
was good.
and my coworker, female coworker, caught me listening to Taylor Swift, and she.
Oh, come on, but we all listen to Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, a boy or a girl. We all do. We're all guilty.
Yeah, and they're kind of like making fun of me.
Okay, well, one time, you know how those like pictures on Facebook appear where it's like a word or a quote and then it has like this funny face that like an expression that represents what's being said? I saw one of those that was really great one time. It said, "Life is too short to pretend that you don't like Taylor Swift." Or something like that, because everybody's trying to be like, no, I don't like her. No, I don't like her. But really, we all pretty much do, because she's so cool. I mean, when you see her in
I know.
interviews, her songs are good, they're catchy, she's got style, she's on her game right now. She doesn't create drama in Hollywood. She's just chill. She has her career. She knows what she wants. She works hard. She makes good music. Um, Not all the girls out there are like that. Like Nicki Minaj is on a different level. She is not Taylor Swift. She's on a different level. Like other people prefer her or don't. I don't know, but it's different. She's more scandalous
I like Katy Perry better
than Nicki
than than yeah,
and
yeah.
or than Taylor Swift.
I think I like Katy Perry better than
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Really? I think I like Taylor Swift better just because I like the majority of her songs. I think Katy Perry got a little outplayed for me, but the song "This Is How We Do," I can never get enough of that song. I'm just like, yeah. I just feel like chilling out and putting it on replay.
Yeah, I like her. What's her song? I think her songs are like very cheerful and stuff. The happy
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What this Friday night, do you like that one? Or Friday night, something
Oh
about
yeah, yeah,
last
yeah.
Friday
No.
night. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
That one always makes me laugh. I'm just like,
But
oh my gosh.
but Katy Perry, no, not Katy Perry. Taylor Swift has a some very good song too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like
like,
happy pop dancey music. That's
yeah. Yeah, me too, me too. I do. But I can only listen to it like for a while and then I have to change it because it always ends up being like the top 40, and then it
mm-hmm.
hits replay. And what's really funny, Ming? How now, like, music, since it gets replayed all year, every year, you hear a song and you're like, oh, that was so 2005, or oh, that was so 2007 or 2013. It's like years are now marked by the top hits. And so when you hear that hit, it's no longer cool. It's like, oh, that was so 2 years ago. But it's because they outplay it. But like in 20 years, it'll be all cool music. Like they'll be like, oh, this is from the first decade of 2000. This music is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I mean, that's what I think. Because I mean, when we have the muties, muties. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. Music from the 80s turned out to be muties. Go figure. Music from the 80s, it's not 81. Oh, this is so 81. Oh, this is so 82. It's just, oh, this is 80s music or this is 90s music.
Yeah, and another reason I like Taylor Swift is because she's born in the same year as me. So I think that Yeah, something in
You,
common.
Taylor Swift, and my truck. My goodness, you guys should start a club.
Yeah, Katy Perry is funnier and better looking.
Really? I think Taylor Swift is better looking.
No, no, Taylor Swift is uh, too skinny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I guess I see what you're saying.
Hmm.
Um, but what was I going to tell you? Um, don't remember that my memory is like that. Like I have to say it in the moment. If not, it's gone forever.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually,
What?
no, no, nothing. Never mind. I'm
Are
really
you
bad
sure?
with compacts, so if you could help me with that, it'd be great.
Oh, comebacks?
Yeah, like when people say,
Hmm.
"Ah, you like Taylor Swift," I say, "Yeah, I don't know what to say."
You know, I'm gonna tell you a secret,
Yeah,
okay? Sometimes it's not about having a good comeback because somebody tries to make you feel stupid, and so you try to make them feel stupid, and then they just, a lot of times people are relentless and they'll
yeah,
just be really mean. So you gotta own it. Like, well, like on that one song, what's it called? The
like
Uptown Funk, whatever that song is called.
I don't like that song.
What, you don't know it
I,
or you don't like it?
I don't like that song. I've heard.
Oh, it
Yeah,
gets in my head. But it says, like, basically, if you're hot, just own it. You know what I mean? So basically, if you like something, just own it. Just be like, yeah. I think the best way to make the next person feel kind of dumb for insulting you is to just be so confident and be
yeah,
like, yeah, of course I love Taylor Swift. Because then they have nothing to nag at you about. Because if you're saying you like it, they can't say, ah, you like it, you like it. You're saying, yeah, duh, don't you? Or who doesn't? You
who
know?
doesn't?
Yeah. And then you just like I said, you just gotta own it. And that rule, somebody I don't remember when I learned that, but it had to do with dancing. Because when I was younger, I loved to dance, but like I'm not from a family where we dance. Like you know how if you grew up with parents who like do the merengue, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this and you learn from your parents. Well, in my family, I was never really exposed to dancing, but I always loved it. But then I was always shy because I felt
Yeah,
like I had to know moves, you know, because my friends would be like, "Oh, can you do this move?" And we were 13 and I was like, "No, I don't know how." And I always felt so bad for not knowing any moves, right? And so then one day I read something that said something like dance like nobody's looking or something like that. It was like this saying and I was like, "Huh, okay." And then it said something else about just doing it like whatever you do, if you do it confidently, it looks good. So
yeah.
after that, man, when I dance, I get down. And I don't
Thank
know,
you.
I'm not doing any special move, but I know it looks good because I do it with so much confidence and conviction and like happiness that it just comes out, you know? And then people see that. And you know, oh, you know when I realized this, I was in college. I was in an acting class and like the dork of the class, literally like the dork of the class, got up in front of everybody and blew us all away with the most amazing performance. He was so convincing. He looked like a cartoon character, like just exaggerated, you know, the face, the expressions, the hand movements, but it was so good. I was like, oh my goodness, all you have to do, whatever you do, is do it with confidence, and nobody can say anything. They'll actually admire you and envy you for that. They'll be like, oh, I wish I was that confident. So, I mean, sorry, I don't have any like better advice about like how to create comebacks because actually, I think the advice I give you is the best advice, you know, because
Okay.
if we, oh, you sent me something. I didn't even realize that. What did you send me? Oh,
What do you
Katie.
mean?
Picture! Is she like showing that she's single? Is that why she's holding her hand up like no ring?
I don't know. Just a random
Or is it
picture.
because they're like faces on her manicure?
I don't know. It's just a good thing.
Yeah, you should frame that, put it, make a poster, put it on your wall.
Okay.
Hey Ming, while we're talking about celebrities, What do you think of people who go crazy at concerts, who are literally like, "Ah, I'm gonna faint, I'm gonna faint. I can't believe I'm seeing this famous person." Like, what would you do if you saw Katy Perry? Like, would you be one of those people that's kind of like, "Oh my gosh, I admire you so much. I can't believe I'm seeing you. This is so unreal." Would you be like that, or
I'll
would you just be like, "What's up, Katy?"
try to grope her.
Oh my gosh, you can't say that in
Just
my
kidding,
class.
just kidding.
You can't say that in my class. Inappropriate. I'm gonna have to eject you.
Just kidding, just kidding. I guess I'll try to get a signature. No, photograph, right? Signature?
Hmm. Yeah,
And
no, a photograph
and
or a selfie,
yeah, and a signature.
signature, autograph. Yeah. Hmm. Have
And
you? And what
make
else?
her say my name and then record.
Wait, your real name? Are you actually gonna tell her? Do I have to be Katy Perry to know your name?
No, no, it's just like try to get a have something I can like look back when how do you say a memorialium?
Memoir? Memoir?
Memoir? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever met a famous person?
Yeah, actually I met uh I've seen famous person. Did
Famous
you
people?
yeah, famous people like uh um the Serena sister, Serena Williams, the Williams
Oh, uh-huh.
sister. Um
Did they make you like feel small because they're so muscular? They're like, rah. Are they tall? Are they as tall in real life as they look like when they're playing tennis?
forgot. There was like it was back in high school,
Oh,
and
oh,
I was sitting on the the bench in the gym.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they were like in the middle of a basketball court.
Nuh-uh, they went to your high school?
Yeah, I graduated from a very famous high school.
What?
So yeah, there were a lot of celebrities. We had an astronaut, um, a lot of politicians. The musician Chris Brown came to visit once.
Wow.
So yeah, because uh, the first lady graduated from there too. Our current
Oh,
first lady. Yeah,
wow.
she has a lot of connections.
Wow. Me and you
Oh,
should be famous.
did
What?
you know the creator of The Matrix,
Uh,
Wachowski brothers? They graduated from my high school too.
wow. What did you do,
Yeah,
Ming? You graduated from there too. What are you gonna do?
I got a 3.5 GPA. I'm very proud of myself.
Which good job, good job. You know, um, in my whole high school career, I think I got one C, and it was in freshman English. That class
I
was
got
so boring.
I
It
got
was an
plenty of C's.
well, come on, you were going through a pretty big transition, okay? I'm not gonna judge you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, but I like this is my problem. You know how some people are like, "Oh, it's easy, I'll just get an A." I was like, "It's so easy, I'm gonna get a C. Like, I'm not even gonna try. Like, to get an A doesn't make me proud in this class because it's stupid. You know, that's how I felt. And then in the classes that were ridiculously hard, I got like the highest grade a person could get in those classes because
yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go after school to study. I did so much. Um, yeah, and so that's how I am. You know, if something's hard, I tell you this about me? Like, if someone says I can't do it, I'm like, oh, okay, then I
I'll show
will.
them, right? I'll show
Yeah,
them.
and I've been like that since I was a kid, and it got me into a lot of trouble.
The problem with me is I'm pretty good at standardized tests, like
Hmm.
filling in a bubble.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so, but when I take classes and we have to write stuff, like critical thinking, then I start to messed up. Mess,
Oh.
yeah, I think the reason I got my current job is because they made all their employees take a like a test, assessment
Mhm.
test
Mhm.
before employment, and then I did like very, very well.
Mhm. Because it was
Yeah,
bubble in the answer.
yeah, did really well, and
That's
I did
good.
really well on my ACTs and stuff too, because it's just really
Yeah.
in the bubble.
You
Guess I'm
know,
just a really good test taker.
that's really good. I never took those because I knew the colleges I wanted to go to and I was like, I don't need them. I'm like that. I'm like, hey, if it's not necessary, I'm not going to stress over it. Ever since I was in high school, I was like, I don't need any more stress in my life. I already have enough. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I've done just fine, you know? And now I'm at a point where I don't do things because I'm supposed to. You know, people say, oh, at this age you should be done with college, and at this age you should do that. I've gotten to a point where now I just do what I want, and I know that I could do anything. I'm like, hey, if I wanted to be a doctor, I could be a doctor, you know, or
Hmm.
whatever. And that's actually really cool to just know that you could do whatever you set your mind to. And if you choose to do nothing or if you choose to just travel, then it's fine because it's a choice. It's not like anyone is forcing you to do it. So I think that's really cool.
I think one of the biggest lies in life is that you can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah?
Just, just to me personally, because there are some people, they just have like, talent to do certain things.
Yeah.
Because no matter how hard I train myself for, I'll never be like a Olympic athlete,
Well, maybe
right?
not now, but maybe if you had started at the age that Olympic athletes start at. So I think that's kind of a difficult comparison
Yeah.
because those are people that have been training since they were 5 years old. And I'm sure if you had been training in something since you were 5 years old, you would do just fine. And I get what you're saying though about it being a lie. Like sometimes, I've felt like
Yeah.
that. But what something that I've realized is it's not just setting your mind to it, it's prioritizing and actually doing. Because a lot of people can say, oh, I want to do this with all my heart. But if you only want to do it with all your heart and you never actually take steps towards it,
Hmm.
you're probably never going to get it, you know? Um,
They're
but
not persistent, right? They want it for like a few days and then they just
yeah,
stop
they want it for,
caring about it.
or they're not willing to make the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Big things in life take a lot of sacrifice. Maybe you have to have a lot of faith or take a lot of risks or you
Yeah.
have to do a lot. It's always a lot of something. But honestly, there are some people, like the people at your office, who just prefer to sit and complain about what they don't have rather than think,
Yeah.
okay, how can I get this? Like, one thing that I love to say is instead of thinking about how you can save $20, think about how you can make $20. Because if you're always thinking about how you can make an extra $20, you'll never have
Hmm.
to even worry about saving or getting a discount or doing this. And it's not to be like just wealthy and snotty. It's that if you change your mentality and if you think like that, then you will it opens so many doors, you know?
Mentality. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who like to complain that they didn't, have so it's to complain about how life is unfair, but they never actually. I don't know.
Yeah.
They just like to complain all the time.
It's
And
draining. It's very
yeah, it is
draining.
really. It's hard to be around people like that. It
Yeah.
just drags you down.
You know, another thing that I learned things in metaphors. It's kind of strange, but another thing that I learned is that we're kind of like trees and we have lots of branches, and the
Yeah.
branches are the people in our lives. And sometimes, for a tree to grow well, I think I learned this because my mom is a gardener, but for a tree to grow well, you need to trim it. You need to trim back the branches. You need to do a lot of things. So sometimes the people in your life, they are harming the tree. The
Hmm.
tree, when it has too many branches, it basically it's putting all of its nutrients and it's spreading them too thin, and then it doesn't do well. So you have to prune the tree. So sometimes those kind of people, you just need to like cut them out of your life, and it might be difficult or they might get offended, but in the end, you'll be better off for it. And trust me, you cut the first two people and then it gets easier. You're like, okay, bye. Okay, bye. This isn't cool.
And
Bye.
you're left with no friends.
Yeah.
No friends.
Yeah, but And it's not to say that bye forever. It's just like bye for now.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get it together because I refuse to deal with this, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with people like that all the time. It's just so emotion draining.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
But
I'm,
yeah, I
I,
did the same thing actually. You agree with you completely. My sister said the same thing when I told this about this problem. She said just try to keep a distance from these people because
yeah,
they only just basically surround yourself with positive people who make you happy, or not
mhm,
positive people, just people who make you happy, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's cool because I think those people are kind of like, leeches and they grip onto you and they don't let you go. And then when you say no, go, it makes you stronger. And yeah, it makes you stronger and you know what you want and you go after it. So if you want to be happy, yeah, you have to be around happy people. I mean, there's no way you can be happy and have a bunch of negative friends. It's too draining. And there are so many people out there that also want happiness, you know,
Hmm.
and to not complain. And so you just have to surround yourself with those people. You know what's interesting? Now
Yeah.
that we're talking about surrounding ourselves with certain people, when I played water polo in college, I was the quiet girl. Okay, I was
Oh, really?
so yeah, and you can tell that I'm not a quiet person, but this is what happened. Like the team kind of already knew each other, so I was like the new girl. And on top of that, they were all a certain way that I was not. It was all about partying, going out, doing this, gossiping, etc. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is not my crowd. But I loved the game and I loved practice and I loved my coach. So I was just like, um, I never, I'd get confused. I was like, what's wrong with me? Do I just not want to, do I have a shell now? What's going on? Turns out that it's like I was still the same person. I just refused to be a part of their weirdness, like their negativity. And so I have good memories of water polo, but I never made a friend on the team, not even one person. I'm no, like it didn't happen. And I wasn't mean, I was just very reserved. And so, but it's weird because they were left with this idea of me that I was like a very quiet, reserved girl, and I'm not like that at all, but I pick and choose where I'm going to open up, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. I think we have like very similar mindset. So did you
Yeah.
eventually conform to their partying ways or no?
No, I joined them on a couple and it was the most awkward thing ever. Like I didn't even talk. They were like, "Oh, let's do our makeup. Let's get ready together." And I'd be like, "Okay." Oh my gosh, I felt so fake. Like I was just like and then I would just sit there and and they'd be like, "Steph, come join us." They were nice, like they really wanted me to join them, but
Hmm.
there was no way to explain to them there's no connection here, you guys. Like no, like not even a little bit. You
Yeah.
just you can
Yeah.
just feel it. Sometimes you connect with people and sometimes you just don't. And so some people they try and force a connection. And I was like, I'm just not going to try and force it. I'm just going to enjoy the experience for what it has for me, keep my distance, take the good things, not touch the bad things, and then go.
Yeah. I mean, if like real friend, the connection will come naturally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I think you have to like expand your boundaries or horizon
Mhm.
and try different things once in a while. So like you're growing, adding stuff to your personality and becoming
Mhm.
a better person. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for who I'm going to be when I'm 50 because if I've already found out all of this and I'm only the age that I am now, my goodness, when I double, I'm going to be so wise. It's like incredible. You're like, "Wow, how did I learn all of this?" I
Yeah.
don't know. But yeah, you do. I'm definitely not the same person when I was younger, and thank God for that. Like literally, thank God for that. But at the same time, I could look back and say, "Oh, I hate who I was," or "Oh, that's so embarrassing." But I kind of look back on myself as I would look back on a young girl. Like if I saw a young girl who was 16 and just kind of being, stupid or whatever, I'd be like, hey, I was 16 too once. I get it. So when I look back on myself, I don't like hate myself for who I was. I'm just kind of like, you know what? I tried my best. Like I was always honest, in every moment of my life, I was always trying to do my best. So if I messed up, I was still trying to do my best. And I
Hmm.
respect that about myself in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think if you will keep growing because when people reach a certain age, they become more conservative. I
Mhm.
think it's due to like they just become set in their own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just stop accepting new ideas and stuff. They
Yeah.
from
Could
like a
be.
transition from the liberal to a conservative.
Yeah. But
So
you know what? That's also why I stay out of politics because I feel like it's a distraction. I feel like it's a way to just separate people and distract them from the real issues. I don't want to like get into what I think the real issues are because I'm kind of like one of those conspiracy theory persons, people. Oops. But yeah, I don't know. I try to stay away from all of that because I think there's a little bit of good here and a little bit of good there, and there's also a lot of bad everywhere. And I think that maybe we don't experience big changes, but we are refined. So you're either like you get to a certain age where it's like, okay, you've reached maturity, and then you experience some refining. So the refining either maybe you become more negative slowly but surely, or you become more wise and more gentle, more loving slowly but surely. Um, I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it can be more gentle.
Really? I am a nicer person than I was a year ago. And I get nicer. Believe it or
Yeah,
not, I'm getting
I
nicer.
think I think older people are less judgmental and more nicer than younger people, more patient, more less judgmental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Ming, I'm gonna ask you this because we have about the same age. When I was like 15 and 16 and 17, 18, 20, and 22, I thought a certain way. Okay.
Hmm.
And then now I look back and I feel like I have a different brain. It's so weird. Like I feel like I actually feel more mature, And for me, this is like phenomenal, and I'm sure it's not for other people, but because I'm in that age where you go from adolescent to young adult to like older adult, I'm in a transition, I guess you could say. And it's weird for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not like a 20-year-old anymore. I'm not a 19-year-old. I'm not a 22-year-old. And it's weird. I actually feel different. And my mom told me growing up, she's like, Stephanie, I know you think my advice is outdated, but trust me, I'm older than you are. I've been through these things. I know. And the brain, there's actual chemical changes that take place that have been proven that show when somebody has like reached maturity. They actually think differently. They're more rational. Like a 16-year-old doesn't think about the consequences. And when you're like 25, you're more rational. That, did you go through anything like that?
I think I did. Everybody does went through that
Yeah, but
stage.
I don't talk about it with a lot of people, so that's why I'm
But
just kind of like,
there's this older lady I met. I think she's older than me, but she still has that very young mindset. I mean, she is experienced and everything, but she still know how to enjoy herself, like
yeah,
at the parties and stuff. Then she
yeah.
was telling me, you don't act like a young person. There's always like serious and reserved. So she opened up a little bit, and then she was teaching me how to do dance like merengue, and then wow, that's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it is? So wait, she was saying that you don't act like a young person, that you are very reserved?
Yeah. Me.
Yeah, but see, that was like me on my water polo team. Maybe that's you around your coworkers because there's no click. Like
Yeah.
you said, friendships should form naturally. You don't have to fight it. You just find people, and as you talk to them and get to know them, you like feel a connection, and you realize you have things in common and certain like similar mindsets, and like there's no arguing. You're just kind of like, hey, that's what you think. Cool. This is what I think. Oh, wow, we agree. Or oh,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different, but who cares? Um, I don't know. I don't try and fight anybody anymore on differences. Like if they think this is right or that's right, I'm just kind of like, it's not my job to convince you. I know what I believe, and that's all. So
Hmm. Wish there's more people like you at work, Stephanie.
what? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I know it's
I
tough.
guess people in the cities are just more meaner. They're not as nice or something.
It could be. Have
Hmm.
you ever learned about like crowd mentality? I've
Yeah.
seen this. I've read about this a little bit, but basically, when a crowd acts differently than an individual. So at a concert, like everybody's raging, like ah, but if it was just that person in front of the band with literally nobody else, nobody photographing them, nothing, they might just be like, oh, that's cool, you know. But a crowd changes things. So when you live in a huge city, you're right. There's probably more of that because it's a crowd and crowd mentality. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, what are we going to
Yeah.
do when Linguistiko gets all popular and there's always 6 students in my class all the time? What's up? What's going to happen?
Let's hope it never gets popular.
I'm pretty sure, no, I'm pretty sure it's going to get that way. And look, I taught before you came to class like 25 minutes late, and I was about to like shut the class down, like share my screen and just mute my microphone. I was, of course, going to wait for students, but you came, and at the beginning of class, I announced we're going to talk about homographs, and then we're going to have a conversation. So
Yeah.
guess what? I talked about homographs. I did my part in the class. You came late, so you came for the conversation part. So my
It
conscience
wasn't
is
my
clear.
fault.
My
It
conscience
wasn't
is
my
clear.
fault. Yeah, it
No,
wasn't my
but I'm
like
just saying that because I could feel kind of bad. I could feel like, oh, I was supposed to do homographs with you. But it's
yeah,
different. You're one student, and by this time, I know you in Linguistico. I know, what you don't know, and I'll just be
yeah,
like,
I don't
here's the link, Ming, read it.
read your stuff.
No, seriously.
Actually, my bus got delayed because there was road construction,
Oh, I'm
and then
sorry.
my bus took a different route. And then
Yeah.
there's a train directly, like the train passed right in front of the bus. So you know how bus have to stop for
Hmm.
the train to pass, and then the train stopped moving for like 20
They didn't
minutes.
want you to come to my class, but that's okay. I gave the
I know.
homographs part. You came for the conversation part. Thank you. It was a beautiful conversation.
It was my last stop too. And then I waited on a bus for like 20 minutes,
Those were
and
the 20
some
minutes you
guy
were
got
supposed to
really,
be.
I know, some guy got really impatient. He got off. And then as
Oh,
soon as he got off, the train moved, and then the bus started
no, no, no,
again.
no. Oh my goodness. Well,
Oh, it's
that's
so funny.
okay. Hey, thank you. Thank you for joining. I like our conversations. They're very interesting and they get more interesting each time. So cool. And
I'm
homographs are
just,
interesting too. I feel
yeah.
like it's my responsibility to tell you. By the way, do you know what homographs are?
Words that have same sound but different meaning. It sounds the
No,
same.
those are homophones. Homographs are spelled the same way, but they're pronounced differently. So like,
Oh,
yeah. So
oops.
let me give you. That's okay. I'll just give you a couple examples and then we'll close.
Okay.
Um, so you could say content, like I am content, I'm happy, or content, like the content of this website is amazing. So content and content are spelled the same way, but they are pronounced completely differently.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty interesting. Um, do you
Content
want
and content.
what?
No, just repeating the examples you used.
Oh yeah,
Content and content. Yeah.
exactly. Another one would be to produce and then produce. So
Mm-hmm.
produce is what you buy at the grocery store, fresh produce. Um,
See,
and yeah, and then so yeah, it's interesting. Do you want me to pass you a link or was that explanation enough?
that's enough. I'm
Okay,
pretty
cool.
smart. Oh, I learned
You're
a lot about
solid.
homograph.
What?
So I learned a lot about homograph today. Homograph today.
Homographs. You did. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness. This, just so you know, I did a class yesterday on social norms, so I was researching it. And
Mm-hmm.
giving the thumbs up sign in Iran means like up yours. And I was like, because I have students from Iran, and I'm always like, do you get it? I was like, oh my gosh, I should have been studying social norms since I got this job. But now that I know it, it's actually a very interesting topic, and I'm going to repeat that class because, what's I had a student yesterday from Iraq, and we talked about what's normal over there or not. They eat with their right hand only. It's like improper to eat with your left hand. I mean, if you need to cut something, do it, but then eat with your right hand because the left hand is reserved for going to the restroom, like taking care of that. So like a lot of different things I learned in the social norms class, and it was at night, so I was wondering if you were going to show up. I wanted to learn some social norms from China, but that's okay next time.
Actually, it was a funny story. Do you know pinky swear? You use you like pinkies?
Yeah, I use,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I first got here, I went to like a school with I was the only Asian guy, and
Uh-huh.
then people were
By
like,
the way,
"Oh,
hang
he
on, hang
comes."
on.